Kelly and Emilio, you're part of Woodland. Tell us what you're doing here this year.
Well, we got brought over by Karen Kay, the producer, and I suppose we're, the headlining act, considering she brought us all the way from Oregon. It was quite an expense on her part. We're performing tonight, and also tomorrow night, and we are releasing our new album over here in the UK as well. So it's sort of a CD release for us, and we're going to be playing the Urban Fairy Ball as well in London next weekend. And in between, we're, spending some time with our friends, Brian and Wendy Froud, and just hanging out in Glastonbury and connecting with the old world.
Fairy festivals are huge, aren't they? They're starting to really take off in the UK, but you run a massive one in America.
Yeah, we run an event called Fairy Worlds. We've been this next year will be the 10th year we've been doing Fairy Worlds. It's an event we co-created with Brian and Wendy Froud, along with Robert Gould of Imaginosis. We've all started back in the early 2000s on producing Fairy Worlds, and over the years it's grown and grown from a small kind of family event like this to a mass festival, close to 15,000 people over the weekend, and several stages with 30 or 40 bands from all around the world there as well.
15,000 people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, 15,000 fairies?
Exactly.
Can you explain to people who aren't in the fairy circle, who might not be believers, why it's so attractive?
Well, it's a really ancient concept that actually exists if you look into it. In every indigenous culture the world over believed in nature spirits, and they actually saw, that nature was full of soul, and even if they believed in God, that was present in everything, and especially in the pure things in life, like trees and rivers and rocks and waterfalls and mountains, and it was just it's a really ancient way of looking at things, but it's a really a way that fosters respect, I feel. And in these times with the sort of environmental crises going on everywhere, I think it's really crucial that people reconnect with that, because it really is their own ancestral beliefs. No matter what culture you come from, every indigenous culture believed in nature spirits, and I think to return to that really helps people to stop treating the planet like a commodity, and start treating it with respect, that it's the source of everything for us.
Also, I think that the fairy festivals provide opportunity for people to come out, kind of inhabit their avatar self, come out and be something different than they are in their everyday life, express themselves. It also is a very safe environment for women and children to come and dress up and be at a festival that's not based around drugs or craziness in that way, but more is based around the idea that every person is unique and magical and can come and be their most magical self. So the events are really attractive to people and are becoming bigger and bigger, I think, based on that idea that they can come out and be their true spirit,
I'm really pleased you said that, because we were talking, I've got Andrew, our photographer here, Simon, who's taking the film. We were just saying just a moment ago that we come here, we're in, if you pardon the expression, normal clothes. We don't feel intimidated at all. You can go to a rock festival and you can feel that there are drunken louts around and you're going to get glassed any moment. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of ego and a lot of attitude in those kind of scenes, and I find that the fairy scene in general is innately gentle and nurturing and kind and beautiful. It has an aesthetic of beauty.
Well, our festival, we did a demographic survey, and 85% of the people that buy tickets to our festival every summer are women, and so which is very different than the rock festival scene. And we came up, we were touring in bands on the west coast of America during a time when reggae and psychedelic, like Grateful Dead bands and Hindu kirtans and all these different things were very popular. And there was no fairy festivals when we started doing Fairy Worlds. There was one other one on the East Coast, but it was it was very small, kind of in the park thing for families. And so we, being a touring band, we felt that there was all this reverence for African culture, for Rastafarian culture, for Hindu culture, Buddhism. You see all the booths, and that's what was everywhere. But there was nothing European. There was no indigenous European culture. There was no reference to our own roots, and there being anything valuable even in them.
And so many people from America, originated from Europe, so it's their own culture, it's their own heritage from their own ancestors. And there was just really no niche in America, which in in general, is known to be sort of a lost, uprooted culture in general. And we felt that, just for our band alone, that we needed a place to belong and to play. And so our festival actually grew out of a CD release party for our band that just sort of took on a life of its own and became Fairy World, this massive festival.
So Fairy World is sort of an alternative to a lot of what was already happening. Kind of like Burning Man sprouted up from that same sort of thing, I think, where there was a lot of people that were into the kind of burn culture, that, body piercing and that extreme side. We sometimes joke that Fairy World is Burning Man for the family.
Yeah.
Are you going to send some fairies down to this oil spill? It's horrendous at the minute, isn't it?
Oh, it's really tragic. For us in the United States right now, it's been really difficult. About 20% of the birds in our country actually breed down in that area where those swamps are being destroyed right now.
And it's absolutely devastated. I mean, devastated. Like, the West Coast is a very environmentally conscious, progressive place. Where we live in Eugene, Oregon, almost all of the nation's organic food companies they exist in our town. Like, that's where they're from. All the farms are organic. Everything is protect the animals, protect nature, protect each other. I mean, we're just a really caring, progressive place on the planet. And for those of us, that are tuned into that and care deeply for the planet and all of its inhabitants, I mean, it's been devastating. I mean, tears, weeks of crying. I mean, people are they can't stand it because they can't stop it, and they're powerless. And it's so tragic.
It's also very ironic, after 8 years of George Bush destroying our country, that it'd be a company from another country that now actually destroys our environment.
Finally, what do you think of this festival here in Cornwall? The weather, obviously today you've struck gold with the weather, but what do you think of the festival itself?
We really think it's a beautiful thing. Originally when Karen came to us and talked about producing Fairy Worlds over here, because she saw what we were doing with the festival. And so we were going to co-produce the festival, but there was a lot going on at that time on both sides. And so she ended up creating Three Wishes as kind of the love child of Fairy Worlds in Woodland, and what she was doing already with her events out in Glastonbury and Cornwall. And so to see this keep growing each year, and now this is the first time we've come over for it, I think it's a beautiful event. It's really... it seems very reverent, and the people are happy, and I've seen a lot of joy here. It's just really beautiful.
The children are happy. That tells you everything you need to know about an event. If the children are smiling, what else matters, really, right?